Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Jeremy Schumacher. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the channel today. Historically speaking, on my YouTube channel, some of my comic book reviews are my least watched material. So I tend not to care what the algorithm does with my videos. And I'm not a straight comics channel, which I think you need to be to get a following. But I'm having a blast reading these comics. And so I wanted to hop on and talk about some of what's going on with them, put a tiny plug in for people who maybe aren't big time comics people, and talk about some of the fantastic storylines that are going on, some of the great creators that are involved in this. And yeah, just riff a little bit on mental health themes explored in this pretty fun timeline. So we are talking Absolute Superman. We'll talk most probably about Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman. I'm a trade paperback person because while I am both autistic and ADHD, I am not the correct type of autistic to stay on top of pre-ordering comics before they come out. I'm the type of ADHDer who forgets things that are on any sort of regular release schedule. So that doesn't work well for me. So I'm a little behind. I'm not like, the most up-to-date person to talk about comics, but I have the trades here, which I like to read so then I can sort of binge them as I have time, as my reading time is limited being a parent of young kids. So those trades are all out. Martian Manhunter comes out. Honestly, next week, as I'm recording it, might be the week of by the time you're seeing this. Or, it's already out by the time you're seeing it. And that is supposed to be fantastic. Just a very trippy, sort of weird experience in comic book form, which, tell me less to get me to buy a comic book, right? Like, that's up my alley. Absolute Superman is written by Jason Aaron. If you are familiar with Jason Aaron, he wrote Thor for 7 years. He had a small 3 comic run on Superman last year around Bizarro. It was really good. I've enjoyed it a lot. Jason Aaron, I highlight as one of the main reasons I got back into comics as an adult. His series Southern Bastards is incredible. I loved it a lot. And if you want to hear me talk to Jason Aaron, you can check out probably still 100 plus episodes into my podcast, my favorite podcast episode, where I got to talk to Jason Aaron about drama in superhero stories. And it was great and lovely. But Jason Aaron writes Absolute Superman. Rafa Sandoval is the artist, and Ulysses Arreola is the colorer. But yeah, I'm a huge Jason Aaron fan. I mean, let's just talk about who else is doing this. Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder wrote Batman for a long time. He's doing Absolute Batman. Court of Owls was Scott Snyder. He's done a lot of cool stuff with Batman. He was on the main run of Batman for a long time. Big name in comics. Nick Dragotta is the artist. Nick Dragotta is probably my favorite comics artist. As much as I highlight Jason Aaron, his run with Southern Bastards getting me into comics, it was the Nick Dragotta designs of East of West that probably really went from oh man, I miss comic books, and but both those series, East of West and Southern Bastards, were what got me back into it as an adult, because it was those were not superhero stories, and they were very incredible. Frank Martin, colorist on this, or I don't know if they're the letterers. I don't know how comic credits work. I like to credit everybody because it is a team to make a really good comic book. Nick Dragotta also worked with Jason Aaron on Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, which was sort of a love story, breakup story, polyamorous utopia story at the end of the world that came out a few years ago. I've been reading a bunch of Jason Aaron, and again, I like Jason Aaron. Bug Wars was really good too, and I'm only highlighting my love of Jason Aaron because I will say, of the 3, Absolute Superman has probably been my least favorite. Not that it's bad at all. It was just the one that didn't wow me like the other ones did. And so, but yeah, I mean, just a great collaboration. Jason Aaron, Nick Dragotta, again, yep, I'm there. And then the Wonder Woman, written by Kelly Thompson, Hayden Sherman, Mattia De Ulis, and Jordi Belair are the creative team on that. And so like just DC has put a lot into who gets to work on these, and like all-star teams of writers and artists. And it's set in this totally different world. It's set in a universe that Darkseid created. And so everything's a little darker, a little grittier, and sort of what we come to expect with these superhero characters isn't there. And so the starting point is like, what happens to these characters when we don't give them the supports that they usually have, right? And so here, where are some of the taglines? Without the fortress, without the family, without a home, he's still the absolute man of steel. Without the mansion, without the money, without the butler, what's left is the absolute dark night. Without the island paradise, without the sisterhood that shaped her, without a mission of peace, she's still the absolute Amazon. Should be absolute Amazonian. Anyway, yeah, we're sort of stripping these characters, the trinity of DC, from what we know. I mean, what makes Batman Batman? Robin, Alfred, the Batcave, you know, like all the cool gadgets and all that stuff. And so what happens in a world that was created by the evilest entity that we can think of, Darkseid, and what happens to these characters, are heroes, when they don't have that? Batman without the Bat family is a vigilante, right? Superman without Ma and Pa Kent, without Jimmy Olsen, without Lois Lane, is sort of a alien overlord. Wonder Woman without the caring family, the love, the sisterhood, is just like a barbarian, right? And so I think it's fun. I picked up Absolute Superman when it came out because I'm a Jason Aaron fan, and when it came out on trade paperback, I missed like the hype. I'm up on comics to read things online and be excited about a run, and then like I have to wait 6 months before I actually read it. But this version of Superman has like a sentient cape. Oh, sorry, spoilers ahead. Wait, non-spoilers. These are all really good. Go read them. I'm very excited for where Martian Manhunter picks up, and I'm excited for them to all come together. If you don't want to watch for the rest of the video, Absolute Batman Annual 1 was written by Daniel Warren Johnson, and it's incredible. End of spoiler-free version. Spoilers ahead. If you want to go read these, do it. I strongly recommend it. Okay, now we're going to talk about the things. Whoopsies. Superman has a sentient cape, and it's like dust from Krypton. It's like dust from his home planet, and whatever. It makes sense in the story, but I saw a criticism of it before I got my hands on the comic that was like, it's like if Superman had an Iron Man suit. And that sort of stuck with me as I was reading it, and I didn't really vibe with it until the Peacemakers came in later in the story. And then I was pretty on board. I'm a fan of what DC has done with Peacemaker, both in the Suicide Squad movie and in the standalone series Peacemaker, and his tiny appearance in the new Superman movie. So like, I think the Peacemaker thing works in universe here. I think the Peacemaker thing works. And Jason Aaron, in his run on Thor, has Thor take on a corrupt corporation, and like what good is a god? What power does one entity have against this corrupt system? So as someone who's read a lot of Jason Aaron's work and is a fan of it, like seeing some of this stuff where Superman's fighting against this evil corporation, Lazarus, just like, again, is also fun. If you're a comic book fan, be like, hey, I bet I know where that's going. Can't wait to meet the big bad villain. So it works in that sense. Superman, again, without all the stuff and then getting the sentient cape, sort of works. It's the Fortress of Solitude in his cape. It's not. I'm oversimplifying. But again, so it's a more of a reimagining of these characters without those supports in place than it is a true like let's strip them of everything and see what happens. Because again, I mean that's not a story anyone reads. Clark Kent, the journalist with no superpowers, is not interesting. I would argue, and he's not a journalist yet. Maybe he'll become one. He's not in this story, and so yeah, it for whatever reason it just didn't click until the Peacemakers came in, and then I got pretty invested and finished it up pretty quick. Um, and it's good. And at the end of Absolute Superman, the Lazarus payoff obviously is Ra's al Ghul, Raish, whatever. I say Ra's. I grew up on the Batman animated series, which is exciting because I like when we're going to do some of these crossover events. It's often Lex Luthor. Um, and the JLA, the Brotherhood of Evil counterpart to the JLA. But like, yeah, I'm here for this undying, not really zombie man, but like this undying guy, this guy who's lived for millennia and keeps reviving himself and has sort of a different worldview than everyone else. Yes, Brainiac is here. Yes, Joker and Bane are going to show up. Like we're going to get the big bads. And I think it's really interesting to sort of see some of this crossover. One of my favorite comics, again, I've done a review of it on the channel, which not a lot of people watched. It's fine, but is the Emperor Joker run, which again, my favorite Superman comic is a Batman comic because Joker's the bad guy. He gets the imp from the fifth dimension's power and does a lot of things with it. Basically just kills Batman every day. But it's a Superman story and it works in universe. But so seeing Ra's al Ghul at the end of this is exciting. The Lazarus being this sort of unstoppable evil corporation is exciting. We do get like a version of Ma and Pa Kent, and I think that again, like you need some of it, right? He's not raised by them. He was raised on Krypton. He arrives here as a younger boy. Well, that's not even true. He sort of arrives as like a teenager because he spent so long traveling through space with no one except for his sentient cape keeping him alive. His cape became a spaceship. It made sense. Again, it is well written. Like, again, I like Jason Aaron. The artwork is great. I like some of the redesign. Some of the alternate covers are very cool, like some of the cooler imagery of Superman. And the big knock against Superman, I think, for most people is that, like, he's kind of boring because he's unbeatable. And so putting an unbeatable character in an unwinnable situation like this, he wins a fist fight against Peacemaker, right? He wins against a squadron of peacemakers quite easily, even. And we see him up against like an evil conglomeration. Jason Aaron wrote Batman Off-World, which was also really good. We see sort of the same thing. It's not Batman fighting thugs in Gotham City. It's Batman fighting this evil corporation of slave traders in space. So there's the theme here. I feel like Jason Aaron stuff. I like Jason Aaron stuff because it's sort of systems focused, which is I'm a marriage therapist. I'm a systemic thinker. And so looking for that stuff. But yeah, it's good. It's fun. Chris Smith, the Peacemaker that we all know is in this universe. And so we get to see that. Absolute Superman. I believe the one that came out first. So that's sort of where I'm starting with it. And I like to talk about my love of Jason Aaron. Absolute Batman is my favorite one so far. I'm super biased, right? And so Daniel Warren Johnson did one of the stories in the Batman Annual. If you don't know who Daniel Warren Johnson is, I've talked about Jason Aaron and Nick Dragotta are here. Some of my favorites, Scott Snyder, I think in the upper echelon of Batman writers of all time. And so some of these creators here are really great. Daniel Warren Johnson is currently on a really good run of Transformers. Go read it if you haven't. Daniel Warren Johnson did Do a Powerbomb, which I have reviewed. If there's a comic book that's about wrestling, I've probably reviewed it. Crimson Cage, Do a Powerbomb. But Do a Powerbomb is the New Japan Pro Wrestling's G1 Climax. Is this tournament that runs every year. It's cool. It's awesome. Imagine March Madness, but for pro wrestling. It's a very cool concept. It works really well. And he basically did that in a comic book, and it worked really well. And then, spoilers, they had to wrestle God, which also worked really well, even though I'm a religious trauma therapist. Anyway, I love Daniel Warren Johnson. Daniel Warren Johnson loves pro wrestling, and so we're getting into some of my neurodivergent hyperfocuses. Pro wrestling. If you want to talk about Undertaker, Kurt Angle, No Way Out, 2006, I'm your guy. If you want to talk about Kenny Omega, New Japan Pro Wrestling, also your guy. Um, and yeah, I'm not, again, being ADHD, I have like more knowledge than most about pro wrestling, and I'm not that person who's necessarily like clinical dissection of everything and have that perfect recall that sometimes happens. I'm more of like a little bit all over, really hyper focused on certain things. I could tell you, yeah, we'll leave it at that. Anyway, in the Batman annual, one of my other neurodivergent hyperfixations comes in, which is religious extremists. I don't know if you can say white supremacists are inherently religious supremacists, but that my interest overlaps there. And so it's absolute Batman, who's just like a unit of a person. He's just huge, just destroying a bunch of Nazis, actual Nazis, white supremacists. And because Daniel Warren Johnson also loves pro wrestling, we get to see a Kenny Omega styled V trigger, which is a flying knee to the face. And we also get to see the one winged angel, which I'm pretty sure Daniel Warren Johnson also used to do a power bomb, because it's the best finisher in all of pro wrestling. One person has kicked out of it ever. The other half of Kenny Omega's tag team, the Golden Lovers. And I could do a whole thing about Kenny Omega and how he's ambiguously bisexual, and that's done on purpose. And it's helped really to move the entire wrestling industry forward. And so while the Young Bucks are the best tag team of all time and have changed pro wrestling by creating AEW, which has currently been on TV longer than WCW ever was, it is also Kenny Omega and his work in New Japan that has moved wrestling forward by being not a stereotype of a gay wrestler, but being ambiguously bisexual. I would say openly bisexual. Kenny by God Omega is a very funny tagline when you think about that bi being bisexual. Anyway, Daniel Warren Johnson loves Kenny Omega apparently as much as I do. And if you watch pro wrestling, you do too, because for a while before he had diverticulitis, he was the best wrestler on the planet. And is still probably my favorite pro wrestler. And so seeing Batman, this absolute unit of a Batman, do pro wrestling moves to white supremacists is maybe my favorite thing. The best piece of media I've seen in a long time, for me specifically, because it is sort of this, I love comic books, I love pro wrestling, and I love seeing white supremacists get their comeuppance. And so it's all those things, right? And it's lovely. And the artwork is incredible. And Nick Dragotta too, right? So he does the art on the main run here, and it's very good. Alfred is like the Nick Dragotta character. I think that character is somehow in all of Nick Dragotta's work, but it's stylistically very cool and appealing. And so we have Batman who meets Alfred later in life. Alfred is this like special secret operative in MI6 ? We're not really sure who he's working with, but this military character, which I think was the show Pennyworth, right? I never watched it, so if it's good, drop down in the comments and let me know. But so we have Batman without that. Batman's dad was a teacher, and Batman's mom is still alive. And so we have this really interesting take on Batman. There's a like wink and nod to like Thomas Wayne, Batman's dad, would have been a heart surgeon in another world or another universe. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And it's just like the series does so well at saying like, we know it like breaks the fourth wall without breaking the story at all. But so Bruce wins this like trip to the zoo for his class because he creates this this sort of bridge that's based on bat wing anatomy and is used to help survivors of natural disasters, and it becomes it's this thing that ties it all together. So they get this trip to the zoo, and then that's where Joe Chill shows up and opens fire. A very American thing, I think. I don't know. I mean, there's mass shootings in other countries, but not like here. And so, horrific, and also like a thing that we as America have decided is okay, that school kids could be at a school trip and get shot up because a gunman takes a gun to a zoo. But that's when Bruce's dad gets shot because he's the teacher on the field trip, and he's very proud of Bruce for winning this trip. And it's very sad. It's always very sad. Batman as an orphan has always sort of been sad in theory, in canon, but like for me, it never really was until I had kids, and then it's always really sad. So yeah, it's sad, and we see Batman going up against a very over the top version of Black Mask. We see Joker introduced as a character who never laughs, which isn't totally unique. We had the Batman who laughs, that run with Dark Metal. It's pretty cool in a lot of ways, even if it didn't make a ton of sense. That happens sometimes when you go into the multi-universe, I guess. But yeah, this Batman's great. This Batman is like Friends, grew up with all these kids who we know to become some of the biggest bad guys. But so like Killer Croc owns a boxing gym, and that's where Bruce Wayne trains at, and he's friends with Edward Nygma and Selena Kyle, and so all these characters are like hinted at popping up, but not their versions yet, and I think that's a lot of fun. This one I think was the closest to sort of a I don't know that I want to say that. I just liked the arc in this one. So it's Batman versus Black Mask, and then we're going to get like Bane introduced next, who I've seen some of the artwork for that. And again, like Batman is huge in this run, like a huge individual, could have gone pro in football and chose not to. And like Bane is, I don't know, like reminds me of some of the Arkham video game series, which was a lot of fun. And I think sometimes comics, when they're grounded in reality, can be really good and tell us things and reflect things about society. And I think sometimes comics just need to like be over the top. Anime is super popular because it goes there over the top, right? Like One Punch Man and, one of many options there. But like, yeah, some of that stuff is fun because it's over the top. And this series seems like it reads from the page as very fun. I'm guessing the teams are having fun working on it because it's sort of like, yeah, I don't know, Darkseid made this universe, so you're not really limited. So again, while we're taking away the supports from these characters, they're still there, which brings us to Wonder Woman. Really like the redesign. Wonder Woman raised in hell, raised by Cersei. No sisterhood, none of that, but like a strong mother figure. She refers to Cersei as mother. I like the sort of Greek tragedy mixing in storytelling, some of the magic, some of the gods. Again, Wonder Woman, not with all that stuff. Steve's obviously in here. You can't have Wonder Woman without a Steve. So again, like, their character redesigns, but there's enough there. And I think it really drives home the idea that even if we take these supports away from these characters still exist within a community. Batman cares about Gotham City is always a supporting character in a Batman story. Even in Batman Off-World, Gotham is a supporting character. But so we have some of the support is taken away. They're raised differently. They're coming from a different background, and they still find community. They still make these important connections, and these connections matter to them. These connections are what makes them heroic. These connections are what makes it worth fighting for. And I think that's important. I think that's always been important. That's always the only thing that's ever really made sense about Batman is the Bat family. He's an orphan who has a chosen family, who builds community, who makes these connections. Wonder Woman is an outlaw. She's outcast. She cannot be on her island, and yet that is what connects her. That's what makes her human, is this connection and this home. Superman is also an orphan and he's an alien. And what makes him so human, what made the most recent Superman movie work so well, is he's an alien and he's overwhelmingly human. His humanity, his care for people, his care for his dog, not even his dogs, protection of the squirrel. He's just taking care of everyone in his community. He is taking care of people. Diana in this run is taking care of the city. Again, like this community, I am the protector of it. You don't get to come here and be a problem. We will expel you, and I will fight for these people because they are my people. And again, I think that can get really like in-group, out-group dynamic and be really terrible, which is why we have so many superhero characters who are orphans or aliens, because again, they're not part of the in-group. It is about chosen family. It's about building community, as opposed to like we're all from here, right? I'm a Packer fan because I was born in Wisconsin, you know, um, and so that's meaningful to me. We are a place, and that's probably like the lowest common denominator for things, and that can lead to, when it becomes dogmatic and rigorous, can lead to, I think, bigotry, and it can lead to really narrow-minded thinking. And obviously, like with sports, you can probably see that in bad fans, but I think a lot of fans understand like it's just a game and it's fun, and the thing that brings us together is not that we're the hometown team, everybody else can fuck off and die. I think it's that the thing we enjoy is the competition, the camaraderie. We like singing the songs and doing the chants and watching our young players grow, and like, yeah, it's the shared experience that brings us all together, not the we are a place, this is our team. um and so, yeah, I think the absolute run, while stripping our characters of their normal supports, it does a really good job still of like giving them community, giving them chosen family. It looks different than in other places, and it's just so much fun. These stories are all fun. They're dark without being brooding, I think. Um, I will say, yeah, the Batman annual is a little brooding, even though it's a lot of fun. It's incredibly dark. But again, I mean, I'm curious to see where they're gonna go. I'm excited for some of the payoff. Um, Jeff Lemire is writing the Flash series. Um, that one doesn't come out. That one won't be in trade paperback and collected format till like December. So Christmas gift, Yuletide gift, if that's your jam. Um, I think it comes out on like December 23rd, so you probably miss Yule technically. Anyway, but like Jeff Lemire is another artist who's done a lot of stuff that isn't superhero related that I really like. Underwater Welder is really, really good if you're interested in that sort of thing. He did Sweet Tooth. He's done a lot of good stuff. So again, just like a lot of really great creators, a lot of fun with these characters. Um, the artwork is incredible. Some of the redesigns are really good. Some of the things that you're like, oh, I don't know if this work. I was sort of skeptical about the cape for Superman. Why is Batman 6'7" and 350 just a tank of a man? And it still works. I don't know if those are his dimensions. I don't know that it's really stated in the series, but like it's not the normal. Um, Wonder Woman's got some very cool tattoos and stuff. Um, her glowing red magic eyes. It's all very cool. It works. The redesigns are cool. The artwork is incredible. And I think it gets us. I don't want to say it gets us to the same place because that sounds so like it reduce. It's reductionist. Is that a word? Um, but I do think that is when you get to the core of these stories. That's the connection. Is is we find our families, we build our families, chosen family, chosen community, and those connections are what we fight for. And yeah, and right, going against somebody who maybe doesn't have those things because they are undying, because they are eternal. It's interesting. So I'm excited to see where the series goes. I have already pre-ordered Martian Manhunter. I will definitely get the Flash. I'm not even like a fan of the Flash. No offense to the Wally West stands out there, but or Barry Allen or whichever one you like. I've done a review of Heroes in Crisis, which I think was Flash was sort of the main character there. And I think that worked to like make Flash a more respectable character. I also like Tom King's writing for the most part. Mr. Miracle's my favorite, right? And I say Nick Dragotta's my favorite. Maybe Mitch Gerrits. I'm not sure how to say most of these people's last names. His artwork is really, it's up there with Nick Dragotta for me. But yeah, I mean, just these who's who of art teams and writers is really great. And so why did I even bring that up? Neither of them are on this run. I don't know where I was going with that. But yeah, even when we take away their normal supports, it's chosen family, it's community. That's what makes it worth fighting for. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Looking forward to it. DC is also, teaming up with AEW. This is my preferred wrestling company. That's a separate topic. I'm not going to go there. To do DC KO, which is Knockout, which like seems like they're just doing a tournament, a G1 style, March Madness style bracket of competition. And yeah, if you're doing like pro wrestling overlap with comics, I'm there for it. So excited about that. So yeah, shout out to DC. DC is doing some really cool stuff. This run is a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see what they're doing to some of their other art teams and some of their other runs for stuff. Collaborating with like AEW's awesome. Love it. So very, very cool. Check out the Absolute Run in your local comic shop, your local bookstore. These are all from my Milwaukee people. These are all from Boswell Books, which is local bookstore. But yeah, like support your local comic store. Find these things there. Yes, you can order them from the giant corporations. I'm aware. But yeah, buy local, y'all. That's what I got. I don't know that these always do well, but if you like it, drop down in the comments. What else do you want me to talk about? You're like, Jeremy, stop talking about comics. Drop down in the comments. Let me know that. Jeremy, I would love to hear about your thoughts of pro wrestling. That would make my day, because that's what I want to talk about mostly. Because the people who I have in my in real life don't want to hear me talk about pro wrestling because it is too much. I'm not unaware. But yeah, I also do show reviews and breakup songs, I guess just songs in general, talk about the mental health concepts and all these things. Like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Go build your community, find your chosen family, take care of yourself, take care of somebody else. Peace, everybody. Take care.